It is 6:58 on a Thursday morning. You are standing at pump 4 of the marathon on Route 9, watching the numbers climb past $43. The air smells like gasoline and cold pavement and someone else's coffee from a drive-through cup sitting on the roof of the car next to you. Your Civic has 174,000 miles on it. The check engine light has been on for 14 months. You stop looking up what it means around month 4, when you realized the answer was always going to cost something and the car was always going to start anyway. Behind you, a truck pulls in, lifted, black. Chrome exhaust tips that catch the early light in a way that feels almost deliberate. The kind of truck that turns heads in a gas station parking lot at 7 in the morning. The man driving it works 2 cubicles down from you. His name is Marcus. He waves. You wave back. Marcus's truck payment is $724 a month. Your brokerage account crossed $184,000 last Tuesday while you were eating lunch at your desk. Nobody at this gas station knows that. Not Marcus, not the woman in the Accord next to you, not anyone. Here is the thing nobody tells you about money. The version that actually changes your life is almost always invisible. No reveal, no upgrade, no moment where the parking lot sees you differently. Just a number on a screen that keeps climbing while the car nobody respects keeps starting. This is the story of how that happens. You are 24. The apartment is 480 square feet. The mattress is on the floor. Not because you cannot afford a bed frame, because a bed frame felt like a purchase for a version of you that did not exist yet. It is Friday morning. Payday. You open the banking app before you have gotten out of bed. $1,940. Rent is $875. Car insurance is $94. The Civic needs an oil change you have been putting off for 3 weeks because putting it off costs nothing and doing it costs $67. After everything, you have $214 to get through 11 days. Your dad calls that Sunday. He does not ask how work is going. He asks if you are putting anything away. You tell him you will, once things settle down, once the timing is right. He does not push, he just says, quietly, things don't really settle down. You just get used to the chaos. You say okay. That sentence stays somewhere, anyway. The following Monday, on a lunch break, you open a brokerage account. 11 minutes. $50 into a total market index fund. Money that was supposed to be a haircut you keep postponing. That is the whole event. No music, no transformation. The apartment looks exactly the same. The Civic makes the same sound in the cold. But the following Friday, you do it again. $50. It is not a strategy yet. It is barely a habit. It is just a number that leaves before you can talk yourself out of it. If you are new here, every week on this channel, I tell the stories behind the financial decisions that actually change lives. Not the dramatic ones, the quiet ones. Hit subscribe so you do not miss what comes next, because this story is just getting started. There is a specific kind of tired that comes with being broke in your 20s. Not dramatic tired, the grocery store kind. You are standing in the bread aisle on a Tuesday evening. $4.19 for the good bread. $2.49 for the other bread. You stand there longer than anyone should stand in a bread aisle. You pick up the good bread. You put it back. Nobody sees you do it. That is the part nobody films. The small, private arithmetic of not quite having enough. 2 years pass the way most years do, without a single day that announces itself as a turning point. You get a raise. $3,100 more a year delivered in an email with the subject line, compensation update, which you read twice in the break room, coffee going cold in your hand. You do the obvious thing and the boring thing at exactly the same time. You raise your contribution before the money ever touches your checking account. $75 a paycheck becomes $125. You never see the difference because you never let yourself see it. Marcus gets a similar raise that same spring. He leases a 2020 Tundra the following week. You do not judge him. He works hard. He likes his truck. He is genuinely happy pulling into that parking lot. And that happiness is real. Same raise, same discipline, opposite direction. Neither of you discusses it. You just both keep making the same decision every 2 weeks, quietly, without ceremony. Pointed different ways. By that December, the account holds $3,400. By the following June, $9,200. Nothing about it feels remarkable, because nothing about transferring $125 every 2 weeks into an index fund is remarkable. No party at $9,200. Nobody notices. Nobody is supposed to notice. That is the part nobody warned you about at this stage. It is not hard because it requires extraordinary willpower. It is hard because it requires doing something completely unremarkable over and over for years with almost no visible evidence that it is working. There is a woman 2 cubicles over named Denise. She is closing in on 60. She has worked in accounts payable longer than you have been an adult. She brings the same lunch every day, and she has a particular way of listening to conversations without appearing to listen that you eventually realize means she is listening to everything. One Tuesday afternoon, waiting for the same printer, she glances at the Civic key fob clipped to your belt loop. She says, without ceremony, without preamble, the car doesn't know what your net worth is. Neither does anyone else, unless you tell them. The printer finishes. She picks up her papers. She walks away. You think about that sentence for 4 seconds before the afternoon swallows it. It does not feel like advice. It feels like a woman making an observation about a key fob. You will spend the next decade understanding what she was actually saying. By 27, the account holds $41,000. Here is the mechanism running underneath all of it, quietly, in the background of every other scene. The $41,000 is not just $41,000 you deposited. Part of it is money the market added on its own, compounding on top of money that was already compounding. Returns on returns. The kind of math that looks like noise in year 2 and looks like a different life in year 12. 2 years ago, the growth was a rounding error. This year, it is a real number, sitting next to your contributions on the same statement, starting to look less like a footnote. You are 29. It is a Sunday morning, early. The apartment is quiet in the specific way apartments are quiet before the building wakes up. You are still in bed, scrolling before your alarm. You open the brokerage app. You look at the number. You sit up. $100,000. You expect to feel something enormous. Relief, triumph, a finish line crossed. You feel approximately the same way you felt looking at $41,000, maybe slightly more awake. That week, 2 things happen within 4 days of each other. First, the market drops 9% in 11 trading days. Your $100,000 becomes $91,000, then $88,400. Before you stop refreshing the app, because refreshing is not a strategy and you know it even while you are doing it. Marcus asks if you are getting killed out there, half joking. You say you are fine. You are, mostly. Your hands are a little cold. Second, the Civic's transmission starts making a sound on cold mornings. A sound with intent. A sound that communicates, without ambiguity, that something inside the car has an opinion about money. Around the same time, a friend of a friend is selling a 2021 Tacoma. Low miles, clean title, $36,000. You sit in a parking lot and run the numbers on your phone. $635 a month financed. Your income supports it. Nobody would blink. A bank would approve you before lunch. You do one more calculation, almost by accident. $635 a month invested instead, at a historical average return of 10%, becomes approximately $194,000 over 15 years. Not guaranteed, not linear, but the shape of it is enough. You close the listing. You get the Civic looked at. The sound is a sensor, not the transmission. $340. You feel almost embarrassed at how relieved you are. The market recovers over the following 4 months, the way markets do, on no particular schedule and without announcement. The account passes $100,000 again in March, then keeps climbing past it, like the dip happened to a number that belonged to someone else. There is a version of this story where you buy the Tacoma. It is not a stupid version. Nobody would have called you reckless. That is what makes it hard to explain later. There was no wrong answer in that parking lot, just 2 different versions of the next 15 years, and only one of you was going to get to happen. You thought the hard part was reaching $100,000. It was not. The hard part was standing in that parking lot with the Tacoma on your screen and choosing, again, not to change anything. You are 32. Something starts happening in the account that has nothing to do with what you are depositing. You still contribute $370 a paycheck. Your amount has increased 3 times since the transmission scare. But some months now, the account grows by more than your contributions alone can explain. You do the math one Tuesday night at the kitchen table. Your contributions that year? $9,620. The account's growth that year? $34,200. The portfolio made more than 3 times what you put in. It did not clock in. It did not sit in traffic. It did not answer a single email. It just grew quietly while you were doing everything else. This is the part that is genuinely difficult to explain to people who have not watched it happen slowly from the beginning. It is not that you got rich overnight. It is that the relationship reversed. For years, you were the only engine. Every dollar came from you, from your hours, from your paycheck. Now, there are 2 engines, and one of them never gets tired. That winter, the water heater dies. $1,780 to replace. Same day, cash. 3 years ago, that number would have required a plan, a credit card, a bad week bleeding into everything else. Now, it requires a transfer and a mildly irritated phone call about scheduling. The emergency does not feel like an emergency anymore. It feels like an inconvenience with a receipt. You are 34. Your manager offers you a promotion, $10,400 more per year, a second location, Saturdays twice a month. 3 years ago, you would have said yes before the sentence finished. You sit with it for 4 days. You turn it down. Not because the money does not matter. It does. It always will. It is because the portfolio, sitting at $447,000 that spring, is generating approximately $26,000 per year entirely on its own. And the 2 Saturdays a month are worth more to you than the raise. This is the part nobody warns you is coming. Freedom does not arrive as a lottery win. It shows up as a Tuesday, where you say no to something completely reasonable for reasons that would have sounded insane to you 10 years earlier. Your girlfriend Priya asks one evening, half joking, why you still drive that car. Now that she knows the number, because you finally told her, sitting on the couch almost apologetically. You tell her the Civic is not about the money anymore. It stopped being about the money a while ago. Somewhere in the last 10 years, it became something else. Evidence that you get to decide what your life looks like, instead of your balance or someone else's opinion of it making that decision for you. She does not fully understand it that night. She understands it 3 months later, when her hours get cut at the clinic. And for the first time in her adult life, she is not afraid of the number in her checking account, because yours can absorb the gap without either of you discussing it twice. That is the freedom nobody photographs. Not a beach, not a car reveal with balloons, a Tuesday where a bad month does not become a crisis. At 36, the portfolio crosses $740,000. An old friend from college reaches out, someone who knew you when the mattress was on the floor. There has been distance between you, the kind that accumulates without a single reason. The conversation is warm until money comes up, a job loss, genuine difficulty. You help, quietly, a number that barely moves the statement. But the friendship shifts afterward. He gets quieter. You get more careful about what you mention. Marcus asks one Friday how you seem so relaxed about money all the time. You do not have a clean answer. You think about explaining the 12 years of $50 deposits, the Tacoma you did not buy, the promotion you turned down. It sounds, even to you, like a story that requires more patience than a Friday break room allows. There is a specific kind of quiet that comes with this stage. Not loneliness exactly. More like standing slightly outside a conversation you used to be fully inside. Not because you changed how you talk to people, because the math underneath your life stopped matching theirs. You think about Denise. The car does not know what your net worth is. Neither does anyone else, unless you tell them. You understand now she was not talking about the car. She was telling you that the quiet version of this life is the one that actually holds. The version where nobody collapses. The version where the biggest events of your financial life happen on ordinary Sunday mornings in bed before your alarm, and nobody in the room even knows it is happening. It is 6:58 on a Thursday morning. You are standing at pump 4 of the marathon on Route 9 again. A different Thursday, years later. The numbers climb past $47 this time, because gas got more expensive, and you did not. The Civic is still the Civic, slightly louder, slightly more embarrassing to certain people, though those people have gotten harder to care about. Marcus is not here this particular morning, but someone like him is. Newer truck, bigger lift, chrome catching the early light in that deliberate way. You do not feel the flicker of comparison you used to feel at 24. Not because you became a better person, because the question that flicker used to ask, "Can I afford that?" got answered a long time ago and quietly stopped being interesting. Your portfolio is worth more than most of the houses on the street where you grew up. Nobody at this gas station knows that, including the version of you standing here right now, who still just feels like someone getting gas before work. That is the whole contradiction. You chose wealth over looking wealthy. And the strangest part, the part you could not have understood at 24 in that bread aisle, is how invisible that choice turned out to be. No announcement, no reveal, no morning where the parking lot sees you differently. Just a 12-year habit of $50 repeated until the math changed, and then repeated a while longer after that. Because by then, it was not a decision anymore. It was just who you had become. The Civic starts. You merge onto Route 9, toward a job you no longer need, in a car nobody is impressed by, carrying a number that would surprise every single person who has ever glanced at you in a parking lot and made a quiet assumption. You do not correct them. You never do. If this story made you think differently about the difference between looking wealthy and actually building it, subscribe to Elias Sterling for more stories like this one every week. Would you have bought the truck or kept the Civic? Tell me in the comments. I will see you in the next one.